years ago. That's the truth. I'm going through. You don't give a shit how often I'm assaulted, how frequently. Because in your mind, I don't fucking matter. What matters is your goddamn opinions. A horrible person. See, well, I needed a friend after your Fred died. Well, multiple times, you didn't care what it cost me to go. Not even in the least bit. Well, through all of this, you've given zero consideration to what I'm going through. So all those times before you left Colorado, while Natalie was still alive, that you were going to come see me. Oh wait, no you weren't. I had to come see you, didn't I? That's the way it had to work. Our friendship has been one-sided the entirety of it, Theresa. You have never once come to see me, ever. You have never once made an effort to come see me, ever. You whined and pined, and literally everything that I had to go to Colorado to see you, for you to be a no-call, no-show. And no matter what I was going through, you weren't going to hear it because you were too busy whining and pining about Fred. Nobody cares about Fred. He died years ago. I am still alive. But you don't give a shit about me because I'm not Fred. It's not just it shows that you don't care. So then let's fast forward. So you moved to Wisconsin, right? And then after that, I don't exist anymore. Until Natalie died. And then, magically, you pretend to give a shit. Just talk about you nonstop. And Fred is dead. He died years ago. Nobody cares. How does that feel, Theresa? It doesn't feel very fucking good, does it? So you tell me that you care. And we gotta set ground rules, right? What ground rules? You mean I have to let you talk over me and disrespect me and treat me like shit? I'm not allowed to tell the truth about how I feel or about how the decisions that you made impact me? Oh, I'm gonna set down some ground rules. You don't get to be mean to me or anybody that I love. Well, you don't love me. That's pretty fucking obvious. If I'm honest, you're gonna call it mean. That's what we've taught everything with titties to believe. If a man tells you you're doing something wrong, he's mansplaining and he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's a retard. When your husband says, hey, you got to stop spending all of our rent money on a bunch of fancy shit that we don't need because we're going to be out there on the streets homeless if you keep doing that. So you feel sorry for yourself. You're feeling bad because you were chastised. So what do? You go out and have yourself some shopping therapy. And when you can't pay the rent and you're getting ready to get thrown out on your ass, what are you going to do? You're going to tell him it's his fault. When he tried to address the issue with the bills, you wanted to go out of your way to do something that was counterproductive. That means the opposite of productive. So no, you ended up homeless because you're stupid. So then Theresa wants to talk about Fred, right? And of course, she wants to also address, obviously with the comment on the front of this, she has addressed the very serious issue of she only cares about Natalie. She doesn't care about the abuse that I continue to endure to this day. She doesn't give two shits. She doesn't care about Andrew Wolnez. She doesn't even know Andrew Wolnez exists. And do you know why that is? Because despite the fact that she wants to tell me she loves me and tell me she cares, she doesn't listen to a damn thing I have to say. If I choose to tell the truth and she wants to take it as mean, that's on her, not people fighting and dying out here every day. But Theresa Ohrn gets to dive into the bottom of a bottle. Boo! Making a YouTube video.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. Fucking complaining about shitty people trying to push me to
nothing new, huh?
suicide. Yeah, nothing new. Hey, I'll pretend I like you for a tobacco.
Is it still recording?
Yep.
Fuck every one of you and bitch ass little nigger wannabes.
I still hate that word.
I know, but bastards.
Now, bastards I'll accept.
Yeah.
Whether they know their daddy or not, their mama was probably a lot like my mama, and without the DNA test, you really just only know that you're paying out.
You know, hell, any one of us could have been their dad, but the line was too long. We had shit to do.
Right? I know I'm not the dad. After 15 minutes, I was like, you know what? I could have done this myself in less time and less pain. Respect. They will disrespect you until you have to.
Okay, so what have you learned from this whole, this chapter of the book today?
That
quit being such a goddamn upstanding citizen and fucking get what you need. Because, you know, being a good dude obviously ain't working no more in this country.
It did work for
sad?
a little bit from 1987 to 1989, but after that, they got their teeth and their hooks clawed into the Muslims and taught us to hate them.
I hate it when they have teeth and think they're better than people.
Yep, and then they tell us who to hate after they've ass raped us. Like, hey, government, we give you enough of our money that you should be able to afford more lube and use less sand.
I don't know about, like, ain't nobody ass raping me. Like, ain't happening.
No, because you're gonna look at
And who needs lube? That's what blood and pus are for.
Oh my God, you're nasty. A fucking gutter.
Gutter punks? Hell no, I'm just a good red-blooded American.
Until you said Merc, and I almost believed you. Your blood's
I'm
red
from
though, I
Merca.
see.
Okay.
Buffering. Hello. That feller is hyper. She's hyper.
Who? Me?
Yeah, you?
Shit. I'm hyper. So,
Well, better than lopers. I hate it when people just be loping around. Har har.
I just hate people all the time. Dumb people.
Yep, you could throw a rock and hit one of them. Of course, you could just about do that with pedophiles too.
Yeah, hey. Is it still considered a pedophile if you're driving and not walking?
Yeah.
Huh.
So that dude who keeps assaulting me, his friends keep driving by literally every night. They don't let me get no sleep. They drive by screaming the N-word out the window, throwing shit at my vehicle, honking their goddamn train horn. Cops won't do shit. They come and bully me if I try to turn it in.
So when they're doing that, they have their window down, right? Because they're blah, blah, blah. That can of Bear May sprays 30 feet.
I know it does, and
Just
everybody
saying.
tells me that. Everybody tells me to spray them, but
Well,
then I'm told
not spraying them. You just like, if it just happens to whiff into their window.
self-defense is okay.
Yeah.
See, they're just afraid of the cops.
If any cop in Tillamook County.
I'm afraid of them, but I still stand up to them.
Oh, shit.
I'm afraid of every cop in the United States. I have to be. I'm a homeless man.
You ain't got to be afraid of nobody. I allegedly got my ass beat by 12 of these bastards.
Do they have
Ain't
12
scary.
cops to beat you down with?
Fuck. Yeah, when you're cuffed up already and slammed against the truck.
That's when they do it to me, too. That's when Waylon Lolitide decided that he had big balls.
Well, that's because they get pissed off that when my fat ass makes them look like an idiot and makes them run.
The Book of
God-fearing
Nod?
man of the cloth, you know. Probably. And the word is no.
Oh,
Don't
thank
do
you,
that
by the
shit.
way. Thank you, by the way,
What?
for saying the word is no. I deal with a lot of people like that. Not just Wolnez. That's the one thing that like a lot of people don't get. They seem to think that Wolnez is the only person who does this, the only person who ever does it, the only person who ever did it. That I just showed up here and said, hey, I got a great idea. Oh, that guy Andrew Wolnez, I'm gonna go see if I can get him to fuck with me and not leave me alone. Doesn't that sound like some genius shit?
I guarantee if you were to just forget Andrew Walnez even existed, like, just erase him from your life, he would disappear from your life.
Well, except for the fact that nothing was on my YouTube about
I
him.
know,
He
I'm just
didn't
saying.
exist to me.
I know. I'm just saying, like, it's one of those.
One of those things where people think that they should get away with doing
No.
bad shit to people.
No.
Yeah, that's what he thinks. He thinks that he should be allowed to hurt me, and then he wants to play let's make a deal. Like, oh, if you erase all evidence of me harming you, then I'll forget it ever
Yeah,
happened.
no, I'm not saying that.
No, that's what. Jeez, you already gave me two.
It's okay.
Hey, the third one, I ain't gonna tell you what the cost on that one.
You know, thank goodness. Just have a dark sense of humor. And some people are just sick fuckers who would do some real sick fucking shit.
Yeah.
Like Tim Beeson and Ted Bollinger. Well, my friend who was killed, that was her ex-boyfriend and her dad. The sick perverts couldn't keep their nasty cockbeaters off of her. Of course, that's a topic for another time. That's the thing, like, it, you know, with the Ashley situation, you know, that they don't give a shit. They will literally let it happen and then send me a mental for help. When I came to you guys, you were able to get that to stop. When I went to Scott, he was able to get a situation to stop too. I mean, out of the over a dozen predators that I've had in this town have been ongoing predators, the only one that I haven't been able to get to stop by going to a homeless person and saying, hey, I need it. And then, of course, the cops and all these other services the cops send me to all went upon me off on the drug addicts out here on the streets for help. And they're pawning me off on people like Brian.
Yeah.
Who isn't any help at all?
Right?
He's just a user.
He's one of them.
He's also a hell of a thief. And yeah, you're not the first person to tell me he's a predator.
Yeah.
I've had people warn me about him and Andrew both repeatedly, because David and Jennifer warned me about Andrew Wolnez. You know?
Hey, got some good news for you.
Yeah?
I have verified, like, truth, knowledge that Christian Alexander is still alive. He's doing all right. He's just not here anymore. And that came straight from his dad's mouth.
That's very good.
So I just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you for that.
So, he just.
Well, I'm going to make sure that I record it. And then he got pissed that it was recorded. He was like, well, why would you record that? Aren't we friends? I was like, I didn't record it because we're friends or aren't friends. I recorded it because you were threatening to kill people and you brought trouble on me. Like, I still can't get them youngins to stop. And Andrew Wolnez starting his shit was over them youngins. Now, I'm not saying them youngins weren't assholes before that happened, or that they weren't screaming racial slurs at me before that happened, or that they didn't bully me before that happened. But as soon as he did that, I became target number one for them little shits, and they haven't let up to this day. I had to listen to them screaming N-words and throwing shit at my vehicle earlier this morning.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Excuse the word, but are you a nigger?
I don't like that word.
I know. I'm just saying, are you one? So, which I'll tell you right now, you're not. So.
It's not just the word, it's the quantity of it, it's the rapidity of it. Like this stuff, if somebody calls me a name, yeah, I can let that go off and slide off my back. But when people are assaulting me over that name, when people are hitting me over that name, when people are destroying my property over that name, no, I'm not going to be happy about it.
Why can't somebody just hug me to death over it?
Right? I would love that. Oh my God. You know what would make me the happiest man on earth? If I could get me two
twins that both wanted your nuts?
Oh, no, that's kind of gross. No, but if I had two St. Bernards that I could cuddle up with and then just die of a heart attack in my sleep, that would be perfect.
You probably choke on hair first.
Yeah, I probably would.
St. Bernard, yeah.
St. Bernards are
cuddly. I knew a couple girls
cuddly.
back when I was younger up North County. Kind of look like St. Bernards. I can hook you up.
One thing is, a lot of folks out here have pretty words that have fixed my stuff, but pretty words don't fix my back. And pretty words don't stop people from harming me, because I'm easy to harm because my back ain't fixed. I'm easy to harm because I can't run away. I'm easy to harm because I'm small, and people can see this. They also can tell that I'm on the streets. And when they see a person out on the streets nowadays, they don't see a human being. They see a junkie, whether I'm a
Oh, I know.
junkie or not.
And instead of harming them, you know what makes me want to do? Come up and just tickle you to death.
I should be so lucky, except I hate being tickled. Also, that would make my back jolt and that would hurt like a sumbitch.
But yeah, but what a way to go. How'd you hurt about getting tickled to death? I mean, if that's the kind of assault that was going around, I could handle it.
Yeah, I about kicked a lady through a camper wall for tickling me once. It wasn't just the tickling, it's the fact. And the whole time I was trying not to kick.
That's a little fucking tickle with mama and daughter.
Some
Put that on
people's kids.
Pornhub.
Anyway, I better
You know
go
what's
in and
great?
grab my coffee.
I don't even
What?
have to say anything anymore. I just light up the light because
Drink
it
one
says-
for Dave.
no, it says
OMG.
OMG.
All right. Should be so lucky. You're right, I'm
Live
not.
long and healthy life.
God damn it. You see, I started smoking cigarettes at 18 because I wanted, or at 19. Real eyes realize real lies. Huh.
They do.
Yeah, your car looks like, all right, you know, in like third or fourth grade when one of the kids in class is moving and everybody signs the card. Yeah,
most
that's
of
what
the
your
drawings
car
are
looks
my
like.
kids- Are my friends' kids.
Maybe I should tag it up sometime.
No, then they start attacking my car.
They probably would. All right. Here. Oh damn, there's a lot of typing on here. Small time investing type. This guy says some wild stuff. Bear mace into a moving vehicle, trying to get him arrested. Yeah, probably. Holly typed, he's an alright fella in my book. Riders on the Storm type, hello Sean. Holly typed bear mace into a moving vehicle, huh? Yeah, well, you know, a lot of times they stop at the lights to make sure they scream extra. One of the girls that rides with him likes to lean her head out the window and small time investing type, the crazy man was suggesting it to stop vehicular harassment. Riders on the Storm type, please read your comments. Holly typed at small Blend typed 17. God did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. 18. Whoever believes in him is not condemned, but whoever does not believe stands condemned. For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, so that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. John 3:16. Lovely. It's a good book. Just, it's bullshit. Small time investing typed. Apparently he has trolls that drive by and honk horns and scream stuff. The fat guy off cam suggested spraying them through their window with bear mace. Yeah. Holly type, what the fuck is all that? No, all the big biblical stuff. Small time investing type, these people might keep him up at all hours of the night, but causing a car crash is revenge. All of the people at the deli in Safeway, probably about half the managers, their suggestions when I try to go to them for help turning these things in and putting a stop to the abuse, their suggestions ranged everywhere from tasering him, pepper spraying him, and bear macing him, to beating him down with my cane and shooting him. So, yeah, I don't take those suggestions, do I? Riders on the Storm type, Sean, please react with your chat. Well, I was busy reacting with you in real life, and that is one, especially since those two people were witnesses to abuse. Holly typed, he's on foot, he's not black. Small time investing typed what? That's while he was staying inward. Holly type come again. Holly, you typed that wrong, but yes. Small time investing type. Can we see the other dude? Parenting type. Is he riding a lawnmower? Riders on the storm type. John, please be respectful. Keep you two terms of service in mind. Riders on the storm golf. Damian Marbury typed hi twice. Riders on the storm type. Sir, this is very violent speech. So what do we do with Riders on the Storm? Well, this is pretty easy. Hide users on this channel. What do we have? We've got as wrong as violent speech. I'm afraid not, son. Pretty all right bitching at my YouTube channel about the State of the Union.
That's who you're creative?
Yeah.
What's that?
I hate being homeless. You know, I get treated like a junkie. I don't even touch drugs. Meanwhile, there's a bunch of people out here who do mess with drugs, and they've done more for me than any of these people claiming they're sober.
That's a true story right there. I lived in sober living for 4 years of my life, and not a single one of those dudes I would call for a favor.
Pun and Tiffany were just here when I was having people that were harassing me and assaulting me.
Here that I was more.
They're the ones that got the abuse to stop.
Yeah, no, I just figured that out. I'm 30 years old. I had my whole life. The alcoholics and the fucking, like, those are the worst ones. Like,
they are. And they take you for all you're worth, and they want you to feel bad for them because they're alcoholics.
I was alcoholic till I was 26.
I lasted till I was 21. From 16 to 21, I was pretty much drunk nonstop.
Yeah, and I only did it because it was better than drugs in my mind.
Yeah.
And then the doctor was like, "You're gonna die when you're 35." And keep going. So I was like, "Fuck, I gotta switch it up." I started doing cocaine and then meth. And then after 4 years, I was like, I actually feel way better. I look better too. I was like, when I was an alcoholic, I was like,
I was
always mad.
I was bad when I was on alcohol. Plus, like, I had the additional
I
help
would have said,
two,
"You fuck off, leave me alone." Like,
two
that would have been
hardcore
the
alcoholics.
intro to this conversation. I would have been like, just a dick.
Like, I had two hardcore alcoholics who lived across the street from me when I was a kid. So as long as I gave them enough for them to get a cheap bottle of Barton's vodka, they'd buy me a cheap bottle of Barton's that turned into an alcoholic.
Like, but alcohol would have made me judge you by your image. I would have been like, "Oh, leave me alone. I don't even change for you." Like, I wouldn't have even took a second to like hear you out, you know, like that. I remember myself, like, those are the dudes at the bar, like, fighting each other, like, doing their girlfriend.
Always looking for an excuse to fight. Like, I didn't say anything to piss you off, but you're twisting it into something. Can I just leave?
No, right, like, yeah, like, but, like, not, like, all night, I've been hanging out with dudes, like, I haven't been doing the same shit. When I was drinking, I'd be at the bar until like, and then stumbling my way home, you know, try to figure out who I pissed off, like.
In the morning, you gotta try to remember who it is that was there, just in case you pissed them off.
And like nowadays, like, yeah, I don't waste time on the dumb shit, like playing pool and video poker. That's shit I did when I was drinking, and
it helps you occupied so you don't get bored, because when people are drinking, they can get bored real easily, and once they get bored, they start shit.
I started spending a lot of money is the biggest problem. Is like, because alcohol is, when you're drunk, you want to do a line of coke, and video poker, and food, and then your girl, you know. But like on that, I can just walk around by myself.
And then you're more liberal with the spending too. It's kind of like, all right, so I never slung drugs, right? But a lot of my friends in Boulder, Colorado did.
Me neither. Yeah, I never slung them.
So like,
they're all.
When my friends would, start selling like acid or mushrooms or something like that, like you'd see them, they'd be like, "Hey man, I'm getting some mushrooms tomorrow." They'd show up at noon the next day. They're like, "Hey man, I just got some mushrooms. Fucking, $20 a gram is all I'm asking. These are some really, really, really good mushrooms, right?" So half an hour later, half an hour later, they're handing it all out for free because they already ate a handful of them and they're fucking tripping balls. And then when they sober up, they're like, dude, I owe my dealer like $1,600.
See, I'll smoke you out right now. Like, I walk around and just, like, I'd rather do that than be like, I was just hanging out at a place. And eventually, everyone like, all right, I need to go for a walk, you know, and everyone does their own thing. But it's like with alcohol, it's like, oh, I'm going with. Like, everyone's got to like.
I used to be able to do that. Now I have problems making it in center market.
You want to smoke?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I quit drinking. I smoke weed and cigarettes now, and that's it.
I do have a nice weed pipe. I just ran out of weed, but I could pay you or something.
Oh, that's all right. People take pretty good care of me, and one of the dispensaries here hooks me up pretty good. So if there's a need for it, I got it.
Well, I've been smoking since 16. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here, kind of thing. Like all the nights, you know, I just help me.
It also helps with depression. Oh, I'm good. Thank you, though.
This is my weed pipe.
What's the symbol on top? Is that a... Oh, it's an anvil.
That is a nice solid weed pipe. There's never no drugs in here. Oh, one time I fucking hit a motherfucker in the ass. But that petty, you know, the resident, and that was enough because I was like really, it was like hula hoop legs, you know, worried about it.
Do what?
I have some clothes at home if you want.
I could totally use some clothes. I stink to high heaven.
I can give you tomorrow at if I can in the morning.
Yes, sir.
At Safeway? You live there.
Yes, sir. I park right behind the store. Yes, sir. The Safeway store, like say here's the Safeway and here's their parking lot and here's the street behind Safeway.
Yeah.
My car is parked right here.
Yeah, I know that. I saw your car.
Yes, sir. And thank you.
Yeah, I have some clothes. They are not bad. They're good.
Well, as long as they don't stink, you know?
Damn. I bring those tomorrow. I guess 2 days more.
Yes, sir. I guess it is after midnight.
Five.
All right. I'll pay for part of it. I think I can pay for that with my food stamp card and this one in cash.
So I can make him both.
Be safe, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, you are.
Or today. Thank you. Alright, well, there was a bunch of typing that I missed. Not sure why it won't show it. Pop chat. Oh, live chat. Alright. Let's see. Matthew White wanted to be a punk. Kamlesh Pawar typed hi. Holly typed your beard looks blowing in the wind. Nice. Buffy the Vampire typed hello Mr. David, nice to see you, but I can't really see you. You. Everyone make sure to be respectful. Well, I'm not respectful myself, so I don't expect it all the time. But there's a point where it becomes fun and games for everybody, and that's not okay. I'm going through hell here and trying to get help. A lot of people think that they had a quick idea and it's going to fix it for the retarded guy. And the thing is, I've been at this for 7 years. Quick fixes aren't fixing anything. Listening is a good start, and that's how you show respect. Holly typed hi Buffy, buffering. Boxed Up typed pray for my dog. I locked him in a storage container because I don't have a kennel. I can't remember the combination to the lock, but he stopped barking a bit ago, so it proves he's God's strongest warrior. Alright, that's somebody just trolling, obviously. Holly typed, that sucks at Boxed Up. I'm in the buff ring, but not naked. Are you alright, Buffy? Buffy the Vampire typed, hey Sean. Hello Sean, greetings. Alright, so this is supposed to be addressing Theresa Ohrn, except I can't do that at my car. I have to leave my car to do that, and I need to walk around until there's a spot where my phone works. So that's what I did. As soon as I got to a spot where my phone works, I ran into people who wanted to talk to me. Now, of course, as always, I don't like the N-word, and I say that I don't like the N-word. Does that get Theresa Ohrn to listen? No, it doesn't. Did I make a complete and total fuck up of this video? Why, yes, I did. Am I gonna try to remake the video? Why, yes, I am. I don't hold any hatred towards these people. I hold hatred towards what they've done. Those who harmed me, physically and otherwise, I hate that they physically harmed me. I also hate the fact that they got away, because the people that we're supposed to go to for help are useless. The cops don't give a shit about the homeless, and neither do you. Now, for some of you, you type at me, and that's nice sometimes. Sometimes I need somebody to talk to just so I can make it to the morning without ending my own existence. But the reason for that is clear. I don't have any real friends. I have people like Theresa Ohrn, Maddie Boa, Kayla Trujillo. People who may have had good intentions, but didn't have any follow through. They thought that talking over me and talking about all of their bullshit was help. When somebody's being abused, especially if they're an at-risk adult, there are only two ways to stop the abuse. A friend or family member who says that's fucked up, not a friend or family member who says it's fucked up to you, but a friend or family member who will speak up and outright state, hey, it's fucked up. The way that you are treating my friend, the way that you are treating my family member, it is fucked up. You need to stop. This is inhumane. And when you can tell me that it's inhumane, and you can recognize to me that my life is at risk and that my loved ones' lives are at risk, and you make zero attempt whatsoever to speak up about it, you're being harmful and you know it. People don't kill themselves because of some sexual predator. How many of the girls that I know that cut on themselves, how many of them did that because their daddy molested them or raped them? None. Not a single one. Now, don't get me wrong, those things did happen. But it's a two-part system. It's not the abuse that results in suicide. It's the neglect by your loved ones. 80% of men who commit suicide tell somebody before doing so. 80%. While you idiots say ignorant shit like, oh, well, people who are going to kill themselves don't talk about it. They just do it. Oh, you're not going to kill yourself. If you were going to kill yourself, you would have done it already. Maybe there's a reason they're telling you. Maybe the reason that they're telling you is because there's an actual reason that they want their lives to end. Someone is harming them, and you're not going to hear it. Holly typed, it's okay, dude. You're doing fine. Don't worry about talking to people during the video. I came back. Karen something or other. K-Ann typed, hello, my friend. Why are you in the dark? Is your camera faulty? No, I'm homeless and it's nighttime where I live. Holly typed, he's walking at nighttime. Kaon typed, thanks, Holly. Holly typed, no problem. Karan Kardas typed, hello from Sydney, Australia. Well, hello, Sydney, Australia. I'd tell you hello from Sydney, Nebraska, but I don't live in Sydney, Nebraska anymore. Although they spell it a little bit different. Sydney, Nebraska is SIDNEY-NEBRASKA. Now, I don't know if you guys in Australia have ever heard of Cabela's. They do a lot of hunting stuff and sell a lot of camouflage. The town that they started off in is Chapel, Nebraska. It's a town of about 500 people. The post office in Chapel wouldn't expand for all of the mail. So they moved to Sydney, moved their business to Sydney. And that's how Sydney, Nebraska went from about 5,000 people to about 20,000 people. Keon Cardas typed, I just hit the like button for you. Well, thank you, I guess. Believe it or not, I don't do this for likes. Matter of fact, Holly could probably explain that to you. I don't give a shit if people like it or not. I'm going to speak out either way, but I am glad for your verbal show of support or written show of support. If you look up the name Natalie Bollinger, the internet will give you plenty of reasons to hate me. The problem is my friends and family don't care what's true or what's not. They showed that before Natalie was killed, and they've shown that time and again afterwards. What's important to them is talking over me. What's important to them is that I do what they want. And if I don't do what they want, they throw a tantrum at me, or they try to shame me as if I'm doing something bad, when they don't keep their word. A lot of people promised to come forward about the abuse because they were there for it, and they didn't. They let people harm me as if I was making those things up. They let people not only call me schizophrenic, but pretend that shit in court. Meanwhile, let me show you how many restricted calls I got. Let's show you this. This is all from a guy named Andrew Wolnez. See that? Here, we'll hold my phone like this, and we'll hold this one here, and we'll show you how many restricted calls. Oh, that's right, and a call to Theresa. Followed by, look at all of those restricted calls. That's right. That is correct. Welcome to my world. We're still scrolling. We're going to keep on scrolling for a while here. This is what I have to deal with. Yeah, all them pink ones, those are all restricted calls, every one of them. Restricted, 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 restricted. You notice we're still going backwards. Still more restricted, more restricted, more restricted, over and over and over. We're still scrolling, aren't we? We are still scrolling, still scrolling, still scrolling, still scrolling, still scrolling, still scrolling. Holy shit, we're still scrolling. Look at that. We are still scrolling. See? Still scrolling. We're still scrolling. Jesus Christ. When will it end? See, we're still scrolling. Still. Yep, you get to see a few messages there, followed by a whole bunch more restricted. Restricted, restricted, restricted. Holly typed pretty words that are useless. Not intending to be an asshole, obviously, but they're still there. Holly typed, Sean, you sound like a pretty intelligent dude. I wish you could find your way in life. Yeah, that's a very generic way of saying absolutely nothing useful. Thank you for saying I'm intelligent, but the rest of it doesn't help. And I already know I'm intelligent. Intelligence doesn't stop abuse. Matter of fact, being intelligent makes you more likely to be abused. Nobody likes to be shown that they're an idiot. And that's, of course, how we have to take it when we're wrong, don't we? If we're proven wrong, we're supposed to throw tantrums like children. Buh. Karan Curtis typed, very interesting. Holly typed, I really do. Holly typed, yikes, that's a shit ton of calls. Yes, it is. I've gone through 7 years of that, by the way. 8 years of that, sorry. 2016 to 2004, that's 8 years, isn't it? People make up fake accounts to harass me over and over and over again, and when I tell on them, they call me a stalker. They get their friends to come harass me and threaten to kill me and my friends and family, and when I ask them to stop, they say, oh, look, he got a hold of me, he's harassing me. Poor me. Now, Holly's gotten to hear me rip some assholes on this channel. I do it frequently and often. I don't know why YouTube keeps dumping people off on my channel. A lot of folks who come here, they say, man, I don't know why YouTube put me here. You were searching for something random. Anyway, I'm going to end this video. Obviously, it's able to work. I don't know what it is that made it finally function, but now that it is, I'm going to have to start this video over the way that I intended to have it. Bitching at Theresa the whole fucking time. Now, Holly, you have seen time and again where a whole bunch of people typing at me does overwhelm me. Why do I keep the chat up in that situation? Because I'm hoping somebody will recognize the situation and actually help. I'm hoping that one of these people who types is going to do something other than type at me for 6 months pretending like they might. If I answer enough of your questions, you might help me. Well, I don't want to answer any of your fucking questions. I want to show you evidence that I'm telling the truth. And I want you to share that evidence with everyone that you possibly can. Anyone who will listen. If you really want to help me, recognize that I'm being abused, and without you making calls with me, that abuse is never going to stop. Without you stating outright the abuse that I claim I'm going through is actual abuse. That the videos of this abuse actually exist. I get treated like I made it up, like I'm a delusional schizophrenic. If I say, hey, there's a lady named Holly on my YouTube channel who says she's going to help me, that doesn't mean shit to anyone. Let's say Holly tells me something that is untrue with the intention of getting me to do something. Like, let's say she was to get a hold of me and say that Alicia Bollinger was missing. Well, everybody knows that when somebody goes missing, whether I get along with them or not, I want them to be found safe. And I want them to call their fucking mom. That's not too much to ask, is it? Tell your mom you're not dead. Holly type from just today. No, those aren't from just today. He called me over 1,000 times in one day. So, yeah, he called me a lot. Holly typed, you want my voice, but I'm afraid to try because you might get mad at me if I speak while you're telling me your story. Not ma. Yeah, I might. I might get mad. But are you going to accept that I'm mad because I'm in a scary situation and I'm scared? Or are you going to take it as a personal insult? If I'm overwhelmed, are you going to understand that talking isn't going to help it? Like, you know, the people who say things like, calm down. When somebody is traumatized and they have just gone through a really fucked up situation, telling them to calm down isn't going to calm them down. It's going to sidetrack them and it's going to piss them off. You already know this. Kind of like when you promise that you'll help a homeless person. And you don't keep your word, you leave him hanging. And because you left him hanging, he's being abused. Right? You tell them it's their fault. It is not an at-risk adult's fault that they're at risk. Those criteria are based on human bias. Who are people most likely to take advantage of? People are going to speak, but the problem is, are you going to say stupid things? Are you going to interrupt somebody in the middle of something that is extremely important to say, I don't know how? See, the stuff that I try to call people and tell them is stuff that I can't say on my YouTube channel. When it comes to trust, I have to put an incredible amount of trust into somebody who I've never met. And I have to do that because none of my friends cared. And none of my friends cared because I'm pretty much stuck with the bottom of the barrel. As somebody with Tourette syndrome, the only people who don't treat me like I'm a fucking drug addict are a bunch of fucking drug addicts. A lot of people who want to tell me things like I just need to get over it or I just need to let it go. They can't spend one day without their spouse or child without freaking the fuck out. Yet, I lost all of my friends and family back in 2016. They didn't all die. Just that one lesbian named Maddie Boa, who didn't get what she wanted right when she wanted it, went spreading rumors that resulted in me being harmed every time I went to Boulder, Colorado to see my friends and family. If I did get to see them, I had to set up a special appointment and I had to go and visit them because they weren't going to travel to see me. There were a lot of people that I went to for help before Natalie was killed that did the same things that Theresa Ohrn does. Talks over me and dismisses everything that I say. For everything that I say, there's going to be some pretty meme to fix it. When you make a suggestion that I try something I've already tried, and I say, I've already tried that, I had to do it alone, and that's why it didn't work. I need a friend or family member to do it with me. And you tell me, oh, Sean, this is one of those things you need to do yourself. You're dismissing the mentally ill tag at that point. But it's even worse than that. And I'm sorry I lost where I was in my point and my train of thought, but I'm overwhelmed. With Theresa Ohrn, if she was to say those things to her daughter, I want you to listen to that conversation. And I want you to change two things. One, I want you to imagine me as a woman. Because as long as you think of me as a man, I have to contend with those biases. Number two, I want you to imagine that no matter what crime it was that was committed, I want you to imagine it was rape. As somebody who was raped as a child growing up, yes, I absolutely know the difference between rape and what I'm going through now. So when I say that what I'm going through now is worse than being raped, you should probably listen to that. What's worse than being molested by a pedophile? Being treated like one. Holly typed sorry, was away for a few minutes. That's all right, Holly. Now, how do we stop this abuse? How do we prevent it from happening to others? Well, you have to get actively involved. That means not making excuses. when you listen to the conversation between myself and Theresa Ohrn, what I want you to imagine is that I'm going through some very traumatic shit. Now, given that, if you listen to the stuff with Theresa Ohrn, you will realize what a fucked up thing she did. Now, if you imagine me as a man, it's a different story, isn't it? Because as a man, it doesn't matter what crimes happen to me. The advice is that I ignore it. No matter how many times I'm assaulted, I'm supposed to ignore it. Meanwhile, if you hit a man for 30 minutes and he pushes you away because you won't stop hitting him, you will push that to the end of the earth, telling everybody what a horrible, abusive man he is. And you'll keep that up until you go back to him. Now let's get back to the pretty memes about how you always have a pretty meme to fix everything. If I tell you, hey, I already went there by myself and it didn't work, I need someone to go in with me, and you tell me I have to do it by myself, and then you tell me if you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. Well, that doesn't apply to the situation. And it's not advice. It's a pretty fucking meme that you read somewhere. So you got one pretty meme that makes it somehow your fault, because you're still doing the same thing. They say, oh, well, why don't you do something different? If you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. But there's also the ones who want to say, if at first you don't succeed, try and try again. They're not willing to try with you. They want you to go repeatedly by yourself until you get treated by all these agencies that are making you call by yourself like you're a fucking harassing ass stalker. I don't want to stalk the FBI. I want them to do their fucking jobs. I never once called any of these people just to curse at them. I cursed at them because talking kindly and respectfully got me talked over and disrespected. If your advice is that I should go do the same thing that I've been doing by myself, you're going to tell me if I always do what I always did, I always get what I always got, or a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, or you just need to love yourself, or have you thought about moving somewhere else? And I try to tell you all the complications that it's going to create for me if I move, but you're going to dismiss every one of them with a pretty meme you fucking heard. And then once I've moved and I encounter all those problems, you tell me, you know, you should have stayed where you were at. You should have stayed where you were at. Did you ever think about moving? You should have stayed where you were at. Holly typed, sorry I was away for a few minutes. That rips my heart out, the rape stuff. I hate that happened to you. I'm a bit timid because you get so angry. Oh my God, I knew you were going to say that bird in the bush thing. Yep, I say that one a lot. A bird in the hand is worth two in a bush. Some of my predators claimed that I threatened to kill them. This is no joke. Because I said I killed two birds with one stone. That's right. Another one of my predators tried claiming that because I had a squirt gun to defend myself from predators who were assaulting me. That's right, this is the Bollinger family. Natalie's real mother wanted to get a protection order against me, claiming that I was threatening to kill them. The reality is, their friends were assaulting me, and I had a squirt gun. Oh, but I wasn't allowed in my court date. That's right. I was illegally prevented from going to my court date because I was incarcerated. Meanwhile, I was only incarcerated because I was literally forced to break the law to try to get a court date against those pieces of shit. Holly typed, LOL about the bird in the hand and bush. Holly typed, with a water gun? Well, it wasn't a water gun. A squirt gun will squirt just about any liquid out of the other end of it. You fill it with water, it squirts water. You fill it with gas, it squirts gas. You fill it with oil, it squirts oil. I chose to fill it with jalapeno juice because it's all I could afford. I bought a 99-cent squirt gun because I didn't have the $14 to buy pepper spray. I did have food stamps, so I was able to buy a bottle or a can of pickled jalapenos. And I filled that goddamn thing with pickled jalapeno juice. I'll be goddamned as if I'm going to let Derek Apodaca assault me more than once without repercussions. But then again, how many times has Andrew Wolnez assaulted me, and how many times have I sprayed him? I have pepper spray now. I have bear mace now, and I haven't used either. Holly typed, they sound like trailer trash. They are trailer trash. Ted Bollinger raped his own daughters, had them selling drugs for him at 13 years of age to a bunch of heroin addicts, gave them drugs so they would have sex with people that he owed drugs to, owed money to. Yeah, the dude's a piece of shit. Straight up. Holly typed no shit LOL and it, for some odd reason, hit it. I don't see that as a bad thing. I curse on my goddamn channel all the fucking time. She can say shit if she wants. Holly typed, I hear the autism. You're being very literal. You're funny. Someone calling themselves You Got a Fraud typed UFW Glock 40 spaz. Well, apparently we got some douchebag on here trying to be a fuck nugget. Oops, did I curse? Holly typed, wait, Apodaca, I know that name. Are they in Oakland, the Apodacas? It's a Native American last name, and Derek Apodaca, last I knew, lived in Boulder, Colorado. He's also a pedophile. In the state of Colorado, if there's more than a 7-year gap and you're under the age of 18, you have to have the consent of one of your parents. If you are 14 or younger, you cannot give legal consent to have sex. And Derek Apodaca, when he was in his late 20s, was dating a 13-year-old named Jasmine. By the way, he's the friend of the Bollingers who assaulted me in Boulder, Colorado. That resulted in me getting the squirt gun that I filled with jalapeno juice. That those very same people later on pretended I was threatening to shoot them with a real gun. Holly typed, I'm over 18, LOL, way over. Well, good, because there's lots of trolls that get on here. They want to play head games, then they want to type that they're 13, that they're 12. You know what they call those? Fucking perverts. These are grown-ass men who type this shit. These are grown-ass men making these accounts. And why do they make them? They make them because they have the intention of trying to pretend like I'm some sort of pervert who's talking to little kids. It's fucking gross. Holly typed, okay, so it's a jalapeno gun. Yes, it's a jalapeno gun. Or was, rather. But it didn't matter. The Bollingers were able to pass all of that as if it must have been the truth by preventing me or my evidence from being allowed in court. And the police and my own public pretenders did everything they could to guarantee that. Holly typed, I know you're not a pedo. Well, I know I'm not a pedo too. I've only had sex twice. I don't mean that I've only had 2 sexual partners. I mean, literally, I've only had sex twice in my entire life. And neither one of them were enjoyable experiences. The first one was with a 19-year-old. Her name was Brianna Hernandez Cordona. She was not my first stalker, but she was the first one that didn't get the hint that I'm an old man. I'm not interested in having sex with little kids. If you're not 18, you're 12. She had a crush on me starting when she was 15, I think, 16. So finally, when she was 19, still wouldn't leave me alone. A friend of mine who's now dead, her name was, hold on a second here. I can remember her last name, Janine Barrett. She said, you know what, Sean? She's been stalking you for years. She thinks she's in love with you. You know, if you just have sex with her, she'll probably get bored and go away. And that's exactly what happened. I had sex with her. She got bored and found another penis immediately. Cool. The second woman I had sex with was in 2019. This is a couple of years after Natalie was killed. The woman's name was Rihanna Ingersoll, and I'd known her over 20 years. She was getting drunk every day in Wyoming, and she was beating on 2 children that were not hers. So one night, she wanted to have sex. She kept on saying that she didn't want to have sex because she was still married, and she was thinking about trying to patch things up with her husband. But she also kept on reaching back and massaging my parts. I wasn't interested in sex. But I also had to worry. Because let me tell you about the women who I've told no to when it comes to sex. I turned a woman named Jamie down for sex. I was still a virgin, and she was a few years younger than me. And it just grossed me out. Now, because I didn't have sex with her, and she had planned it, that we were going to have sex. And I didn't follow the plan. Instead, I zipped myself up, going to the bathroom, and was bleeding all over the place, and had my equipment wrapped in toilet paper to soak up the blood. Instead of telling her what happened, I got to listen to her tell me if I was any slower, I'd be the Virgin Mary. Yeah, the 40-year-old virgin got nothing on me. So, since I didn't have sex with her, she called up a friend named Tracy Hodges, who she hated. And her and Tracy Hodges had a conversation about me like I wasn't even there. It was horrible. So then there was a young woman who didn't want to have sex with me, and she decided that she was going to try to have sex with me. It was her first night being homeless, and she wanted to sleep close to me so that I was close enough to hear her scream if anybody messed with her, but she didn't want to sleep in my squat, which I was fine with. Well, probably about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, I felt an animal rooting around in my shorts, and I twisted around to get away from it. Well, it wasn't an animal. It was her hand trying to massage my equipment while I was sleeping. It's a bad fucking idea. When I twisted to get away from whatever animal was rooting around in my shorts, her wrist got stuck in my belt and broke. Then there's Nicole Jarrell. She had this fetish about humping a dude up the backside with a carrot. And she spent a lot of time trying to convince me that I wanted her to insert a carrot in my backside. And I kept on telling her, no, I'm not okay with that. And she'd say, not even a baby carrot? No, not even a baby carrot. Then one day, she stabbed me in the butthole with Carrotzilla. Yeah, that shit ain't happening. I do not consent to being ass raped, not even with a carrot. So obviously, after the fact, some of these stories are pretty funny, ain't they? Of course they are. Looking back. But there's a lot of emotional connotation attached to it, too. Jamie is the only woman I ever thought I was in love with, and she absolutely fixed me of that problem. I am incapable of falling in love. I am well aware that in love is bullshit. You either love or you don't. If your love is conditional, you do not love. Your anger is allowed to be conditional. It doesn't matter how much you love somebody. Sometimes they do stuff that is so fucked up that no matter how much you love them, you still can't let them get away with it. You send the wrong message. Now, I'm not good with sex. I've never had a girlfriend. The experiences that I've had, I know better than anyone else. If I'd ever had a girlfriend, well, yeah, I'd have a bit more confidence because I was actually worth something to somebody. I was worth a chance to somebody, but I've never been. The only quote-unquote women who have ever been attracted to me are underage girls, and they weren't attracted to me when I was underage. Oh, no. When I was 14, 14-year-old girls were not interested in me. When I was 15, 15-year-old girls were not interested in me. When I was 16, 16-year-old girls were not interested in me. When I was 17, 17-year-old girls were not interested in me. But when I turned 18, I had 17-year-old girls, 16-year-old girls, 15-year-old girls, 14-year-old girls, 13-year-old girls, and 12-year-old girls who had crushes on me and were telling me all the time what crushes they had on me, how they were in love with me, how I was so great and how I was so wonderful and how there was no man like me, and so on and so on. And what does this come from? It comes from people teaching their kids, teaching their girls in specific, that girls are more mature than boys. And that is not true. Girls physically mature sooner than boys, on average. But when you tell them that they're more mature than boys, and they get it in their head at 13 years old because they've gone through puberty and now they're a good 6 to 8 inches taller than every other boy in the class, now they think they're mentally more mature. And they get stuck in that, well, I'm mature at this age. No, you're not mature at 13 years of age. Not even close. You're physically more mature than the boys, and mentally you're maturing at a faster rate at that point in your life, only because boys have not hit puberty quite yet. But when they do hit puberty, there's a lot of stuff that you're going to miss out on because you've already decided that the 14-year-old mentality that you have is maturity. And you're going to carry it with you for the rest of your life. Boys will continue to mature with age, but most girls will never advance mentally past the age of 13. Holly typed, sorry, OMG, I'm dying. It only hurts when I laugh. My stomach hurts from LOL. I'm leaving a note next to me that if I die tonight, you're the culprit. I died laughing. Holly also typed, I'm way over 14 and not a boy. All right. Good to know. Thank you for not being a boy, I guess, and thank you for being over 14, I guess. It makes it easier to talk to you and makes me less afraid that I'll get in trouble. So here's the thing about all these young girls who have had crushes on me. They should have had crushes on boys their own age. I can understand, when you're 13 or 14 and you're already thinking about sex and the boys in your class are still wanting to play with race cars. They're still wanting to play with Tonka trucks. I can understand why you'd be attracted to a 15 or 16-year-old boy who's going through puberty. One thing I don't understand is Catholic schoolgirls, right? When we think of Catholic schoolgirls, are we thinking of college girls? No, we're not. That Catholic schoolgirl uniform, that's for high schoolers and junior high schoolers and even grade schoolers. These are literally all children who dress in those uniforms. So when you get a girl who goes to the bar and she wants to dress in that pleated skirt, she wants to dress like a slutty Catholic schoolgirl. She's wearing the uniform, but instead of having the tie that goes with it, all the buttons are undone and she's got it tied in a knot and she's got a bright red bra underneath showing off for everybody to see. Obviously, she's at least 21 years of age. She's walked into that bar at least 21 years of age, dressed as underage meat. What are the chances that she's going to attract the pedophiles in the room? They're pretty goddamn good. When she complains that men look at her like a piece of meat, holy shit, you didn't just dress yourself up as a piece of meat. You dressed yourself up as an underage piece of meat. You dressed for success, but what did you want? What were you trying to attract? When you do that, you're attracting a pedophile. When you go out with your face painted on, now we all know women who use that term. I can't leave the house until I put on my face. We all know those women. Are they going to attract somebody who loves them for them or because of the way they look? Are they going to attract somebody who wants them for their mind, or is it going to be about the looks? Well, primarily it becomes about the looks. When you present yourself in a manner that a superficial man is what you're going to attract, and then you complain that all men are superficial, no, they're not. When you dress yourself up at 21, 22, 23 years of age, like an underage piece of meat, and you attract a man at that bar and you end up pregnant because you were irresponsible and had unprotected sex, and you're raising that child, and that man that you're with decides he's going to molest your child, well, with all due respect, you invited that into your house. And the reality of it is, when he fucks up, he's not the one that's going to pay for it. All men are going to pay for it. All men are to blame at that point. And it is harmful to every man that's not. When the man that you chose, sure, he doesn't make 100 grand a year. He only makes 38,000 a year. But he's 6 foot tall and he's good looking. And when he beats on you, you're going to complain. But chances are pretty good that you're going to go back to him because of familiarity. Oh, I'm not trying to ignore you, Miss Holly. Holly typed. So today I found out an old friend of mine's daughter has changed to a man. So weird. Well, yeah, it could be. I know a woman in New Mexico. She has a son named Rain. Rain identifies as a woman. However, Rain is 300 pounds, and Rain raped his 9-year-old sister. Rain still has a penis. Rain is big, Rain is violent, and Rain is sexually predatory towards people that are smaller. See, message held for review. This one says, Holly typed, she had her boobs chopped off, paid mostly by insurance. Yep. Now, I'm not against a person getting a sex change, but I'm going to tell you a story about Boulder, Colorado. One of the professors there had a son who got cancer, and CU's health insurance wouldn't cover that cancer, even though that teacher had been there for a long time. However, there was a LGBT person who felt that God made a mistake by giving him a penis, and he wanted a vagina. So he went to work. He went to work for CU as a janitor for 6 months. And after 6 months, that janitor was eligible for a sex change and got that sex change. What happened to the professor's son? He died. He died of cancer. Holly typed, sorry, I'm against the woke shit, despite the fact her mom's a friend of mine. I don't know her daughter or son. I was never into politics, but I'm definitely somewhat into them now. POS, Rain should be locked up forever. I agree. Holly type, it's the woke shit. And I agree with that too. It's all white people's fault? No, it's not. Is it all white people's fault when a police officer kills a black man? No. You know what's some woke shit? Black people telling white people they can't be victimized. It's bullshit. You know what's some woke shit? When I'm harmed, my gay friends want to pretend like I couldn't possibly be harmed because I'm not gay. And then they make fun of me for being straight. While my straight friends want to treat me like I'm a homosexual. I must be, because I don't have a girlfriend, and so on and so on. Now, ain't that some woke bullshit? While my gay friends tell me I don't know what it's like to be gay. I don't know what it's like to be treated like shit for being gay. You're right. I know what it's like to be treated like shit by people pretending that I'm gay because they just want an excuse. For a lot of gay people that I know, they got made fun of for being gay by people that didn't even know they were gay. They just use that as an insult towards everybody that they try starting a fight with. But because these people in specific actually happen to be gay, they get this paranoia about them. Like, how did everybody know I'm gay? They don't. 90% of the people who make fun of you for being a homosexual have no fucking clue if you are or not. They just want to be a dick. Rain wants the right to use the women's bathroom. If a cross-dresser wants to use the women's bathroom, I don't have a problem with that. When a sexual predator wants to use the women's bathroom, especially when that sexual predator has a history of sexual predation towards women, specifically females in his own family, no, I do not want that person in my goddamn bathroom or the women's bathroom. I don't think that person should be allowed to use a public restroom. I don't think that person should be allowed outside of their own home. And I personally believe that those people should never be released to begin with. The fact that Rain never had to spend a day incarcerated for it is even more disgusting. Another message held for review. It says, COVID created a world of shit. No, it was all fucked before COVID. It's just that people in houses didn't realize it until COVID hit and they had to feel it. Holly typed, pedos will never change. Ever seen a brown pride sticker? No, I haven't actually. Holly typed, I have. What if they had a white pride sticker on my car? Well, if you had a white pride sticker on your car, black people, white people, Hispanic people, Asian people, lots of different people would throw rocks through your window. So it's probably not a bright idea. But that's also the point you were making, I would imagine. Holly typed, I can't wait for Biden, the pedo old timers tool is out. Holly typed, no same-sex restrooms. I mean, only same-sex. I don't believe in that. That's something you and I can disagree on for one simple fact of the matter. Roman toilets. Roman bathrooms were community bathrooms. There were no stalls. None. One of the bathrooms at Ephesus, Turkey had over 60 toilets in it. Over 60 toilets, one room. The way the toilets were made, however, a man or a woman could use the toilet. And even better than that, because of the clothing that they wore, nobody saw your goodies. It didn't matter if you were a man or a woman, and it didn't matter if it was a man or a woman sitting across from you. You weren't seeing their parts, they weren't seeing yours. And oh God, you might hear your wife fart if she's using the same public restroom. However, those were protected restrooms. They were guarded. They had security at those restrooms. You were not going to get raped at a Roman toilet. Holly typed, no goddamn one for all restrooms. Holly typed, but I have seen a brown pride sticker. Pedos have taken advantage of this newly found BS. And you're right. Now pedophiles want to be recognized as a part of the LGBT community. Do you really think that people who fought hard their entire lives to have the right to be treated like a person instead of treated like, because they're interested in men as a man, that they must be a rapist? Do you really think they want their name associated with rapists? Do you really think those people want their names associated with pedophiles? Fuck no, they don't. Holly typed, I don't want my kids in there with a grown man. We're talking about kids. Well, you're right. We absolutely are. We're talking about men, women, and children. You're not likely to find many people, or you're likely to find a lot of people who will claim that they're willing to go to prison to protect a child. I've been to prison for protecting children. So you don't have to wonder about me. I don't have to tell you that I'm willing to do that. I've already shown it. Just as in Wyoming, I showed that when Rihanna was hitting them kids, I was willing to get locked up to protect those children. And I was locked up to protect those children. Holly type, they want to say that it's not a problem that they like children. You're right. They want us to call them MAPs, minor attracted persons. That's fucking nasty. Now, I can understand the vision of youth, right? We all understand that. We got lots of women who hit that 30 to 35 range when their biological clock is really ticking down. And they run around to all of the young men that they can find. These are cougars, right? They run around to a bunch of young men that they find because they know those young men are likely to have a higher sperm count. They're more likely to be virile. But for the majority of their adult lives, that's not what women are pursuing. They're not pursuing the young men. They're pursuing comfort and support, protection. And you're not necessarily going to get that out of a young man. He's just as likely to turn his aggression on you as he is on somebody that you're angry at. Holly typed, they want to say, view message. Holly typed, fuck you, don't cross my path. Exactly. Holly also typed, not you, the creeps that think it's like being a hetero or bi or homo. Kids don't have the choice. And you're absolutely right about that. Fuck those maps. And I absolutely agree with that too, Miss Holly. I wonder if it'll let me show that. Nope, apparently not. Holly typed, no, we were talking kids. We weren't talking about women. And see? That's the thing about protecting children. I've protected women, but I've also had to protect children from women. I've had to protect children from their own parents. Then again, who's the most likely person to abuse your child? You, as a parent. The most likely person to kill your child is your mother. The most likely person to rape your child is their father. The second most likely person to murder your child is the father. The second most likely person to sexually abuse your child is the mother. The most likely person to beat on your child is the mother, at 5 times the rate of a father. A lot of women will start a fight because you say such a thing. How dare you try to destroy all women by telling the truth, and so on and so on. You're only saying these horrible things because you hate women. No, I say them because they're true. Who beat on me more, my mother or my father? My mother by a lot. They both went about it a lot different. Holly-type kids come first, not me. I'm too hypervigilant for mine to get hurt. You can think that, you can believe that. I'm hypervigilant as well. The fact that you say hypervigilant lets me know that you've been through hell yourself. The fact that you're pacing means that you have something that you want to say and you can't. And it gives you a shit ton of anxiety just thinking about having to type it down because it'll take too long and you're afraid that it won't come across right. Hypervigilant. You goddamn right. What does hypervigilance come from? Abuse. See, a lot of people don't know the difference between being hypervigilant and being paranoid. What is hypervigilance? It's paranoia for a reason. If you walk through Chapel, Nebraska, and every time that you walk through Chapel, Nebraska, Ed Simmons tries to touch your butt, then you're hypervigilant. Every time you go through Chapel, Nebraska, you're looking around trying to keep your eyes out for Ed Simmons. Pacing comes from anxiety, but not just anxiety. Even more so, it comes from the need to express. But at that point, you have to pace because your mouth is not going to run as fast as your brain is moving. The way they try to cure or remedy this is by medicating you to slow down your mind, but it doesn't work. It'll just make you stupid. That pacing thing is common. It's even more common among people who took a lot of medications, specifically psychoactive or psychotropic medications growing up. The people most likely to do that pacing thing are people who grew up in the system, people who grew up in foster care. The people most likely to pace are people who have the two-part system. The two-part system is number one, somebody that you're supposed to trust abused you. And number two, the person you were supposed to trust to go to about it neglected you. Same thing as the girl who cuts herself. Did she cut herself because daddy was molesting her? No. Daddy was molesting her, but that's not why she cut herself. She cut herself because when she went to her mom about it, her mom blew her off. If you can pace it out without cutting yourself, you're doing something that a lot of women are incapable of. If you're pacing, that means that you have something to say. It also means that you're heated. It means that you have a lot of emotions, and those emotions are broiling up in you. Holly typed, my dad was the greatest person ever. Well, I'm glad it wasn't your dad. While statistically your parents are the most likely people to molest you, neither of my parents ever molested me. Ever. I'm an exception to the rule. The people who molested me and raped me were other kids in foster care and staff at group homes. The people you're supposed to go to for help, right? What happens when you have to go to the police for help? But some druggie who's pretty wants to pretend that you're a creepy-ass stalker. As a male, your life is over. Because the moment she says stalker, people aren't just going to treat you like a quote-unquote stalker. They're going to start claiming that you must be a rapist, or you must have wanted to rape somebody, that you must be a pedophile. Holly typed, statute of limitations was up. Well, I'm going to tell you a secret here, Holly. There is no statute of limitations on sex crimes. There are no statute of limitations on sexual assault. There is no statute of limitations on heinous crimes, which means if you commit crimes against an at-risk adult. Holly typed, I found out my predator was riddled with cancer. Yep, I'd say that the statute of limitations was up. I retract my previous statement. You're absolutely right. When the son of a bitch is dead, you can't take him to court. Holly typed, here there is. Federally mandated. It's federally mandated. If a state wants to allow a sexual predator to get away like that, that state can be held in contempt. How many times has an entire state been held in contempt for something like that? It's never happened because 100% of the time, states have folded. A state is not going to go to war with the federal government over a goddamn pedophile. Nobody is. Nobody in America is going to go to war with the federal government over a fucking pedophile. Pardon my French. Holly typed, I spoke to his brother, who told me his brother was riddled with cancer. Yep, and that's tough too. Knowing the friends and family, you're predators. Holly typed, I said, I'd like to say I'm sorry, but I'm not. His brother agreed. Yes, ma'am. Let me tell you about some of the people who claim to love me, claim to care about me, and then harmed me over their predators. There's a woman, her name is Amanda Demet. I was her first crush. Amanda Demet was going to help me after Natalie was killed. But one of these groups that goes out and finds pedophiles, matter of fact, it's a group of people who tried to catch me as a pedophile. It didn't work. Do you know why? Because I'm not interested in fucking kids. But Amanda Demet's brother was. So a woman called up, pretended like she was a 9-year-old girl, and Amanda Demet's brother tried to get that person who was posing as a 9-year-old girl to show her genitalia to him. So he got arrested, got sent to prison. Because of that situation, Amanda's mom got depressed and she fucking died within a year. And Amanda's excuse for not coming forward and telling the truth, which results in me being harmed as if I'm a liar, her excuse was her brother the pedophile. She used her brother the pedophile as an excuse for not coming forward and telling the truth. And she's not the only person to use a pedophile as an excuse. Because there's Amy Witcher using her husband, Andrew Witcher, the pedophile, as an excuse. There's my mother using her dad, the pedophile, as an excuse. Using my little brother, Michael Allen Albert, the pedophile, as an excuse. That's right. Holly typed, I didn't know his brother. Speaking to his brother was therapeutic. What the fuck? Yeah, what the fuck is right? My mother helped pedophiles to get away. But she wouldn't help me. Is it because I'm not a pedophile? Holly typed, I was angry my whole life. Finally, a friend found this POS's PHN number. Yep. I give out my predators' phone numbers. See, when Natalie died, Natalie had given out my phone number to people like Tim Beeson so that he could harass me for her. She gave out my email address so that he could harass me for her. When I tried to turn that in before Natalie was killed, that Natalie was giving out my phone number to a bunch of fucking pedophiles and perverts and they wouldn't stop harassing me, I was told, it's not illegal to give out somebody's phone number, it's just rude. Holly typed, he lived at his parents' where my mom left me in the car whole. She effed him. Yep. Holly typed, I called. Bro answered. I initially said, fucking pedophile, and hung up. Yep. The fucked up shit that I've had to endure my whole life is not specific to me. Lots of people have had to go through this kind of abuse. Lots of people who've had to go through massive quantities of this kind of abuse. But a lot of those people are women that speak out because a man's not allowed. Once a man speaks up about being abused, especially sexually, well, he's now damaged goods. He's less of a man to the rest of the country. Holly typed, called the next night and bro answered. I asked who he was and he disclosed his first and last name. I asked who else lived there and bingo. Yep. And although this is not something that helped me out, you telling your story the way that you are, it's obvious it's something that you're heartfelt about and that you want to share it. Holly typed, I'm damaged goods. You're right. You know how that feels. It's a lot worse for men, just so you know. I know that women are taught that men don't have emotions, but we're taught that we're not allowed to show them. We're taught that any emotion that we show is going to be used and abused by the women around us. We're not taught that verbally by other men in our lives. We are shown that by the women in our lives. There's women in my life who have told me that I was attractive. Now, have they ever done so unsolicited? Never. Not once, ever. What's the difference between telling someone they're attractive and being solicited to do so? Well, when somebody is being bullied for being ugly, and they call you up and they say, hey, people are beating me up because I'm ugly. They're saying that I must be a pedophile, that I would have to tie a stake around my neck to get the dog to play with me, that I must be a rapist, I must be a pedophile because I'm ugly. And you go, oh, well, you know, Sean, I always thought you were pretty handsome, and if I wasn't in a relationship, I'd... No, the fuck you wouldn't. Holly typed, I like that men can show emotions, and boys do cry. Well, Holly, I show emotion on my channel. And it's not always crying. The things that I'm angry about, anyone would be angry about. Sometimes I cry, sometimes I yell. Holly typed, boys do cry and are allowed to do so. No, we're not. Sure, we're allowed to cry, sort of, but we're not allowed to do so without criticism, without ridicule, without being diminished as a human being, without being treated like damaged goods. There's a woman I was listening to recently, and she does talk a lot about how men are shifty shit, you know, they're manipulated easily by women. Now, one of the things she was talking about is that she had a crush on this guy for about 20 years. 20 years. She said, I'd never heard him cry. He was so stoic. And for years and years and years, I tried to get him to go out on a date with me. I tried to let him know I was interested and that I was attracted to him. And so he was finally going to give me a chance. And one night he called me up and he was having a bad day. And he started crying, and it was the first time I'd heard him cry. And I realized right then and there that I was no longer attracted to him. That's the reality of when a woman tells you it's okay to cry. Natalie Bollinger herself typed to me that I'm allowed to have emotions. Well, yes, I am allowed to have them. I'm just not allowed to have them without ridicule. I'm not allowed to show them. I'm not allowed to express them. If I try to tell a woman, hey, you're doing something that's harming me, like with Theresa Ohrn, I try to tell her that what she was doing was harmful to me, that people were hurting me, and that her quote unquote help was only resulting in more people hurting me. But she didn't want to hear it, just like Natalie didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear how the things that they had done, how the decisions that they had made resulted in people physically harming me. At that point, I have a choice. I can either stay there and take the abuse and try to see my friends, where I am told that, well, you shouldn't have been there. If people are hurting you, you should use your common sense and go somewhere else. But then I don't get to see my loved ones, and Natalie didn't care. None of these people did. When I had emotions, was this something where I was trying to get some underage vagina and she told me no? Hell no. You read the messages between Natalie and I, you realize not only would I not allow her to be friends with me before she was 18, not only did I run her off before that, or at least try, yeah, that's absolutely true. She thought she was in love with me. But not only are those things true, but it is also true that she thanked me for trying to run her off, and so did her sister. Holly typed, I'm sorry, Sean. I know you're not a pedo. Petty POS will make you think you can't cry. Crying is okay no matter what your gender is. Holly typed, I know you weren't trying to fuck her. Well, our messages show that too. When she tried to let me know that she thought she was in love with me and still was, I always tried to sidestep it. And I've had more than one woman read that. Like, hey, read these messages between me and Natalie. Does it seem to you like I was some sort of a pedophile who couldn't take no for an answer? And usually the reaction that I get is, Sean, she thought she was in love with you and you're a fucking idiot. If you'd have realized that she thought she was in love with you, do you think you'd have done anything different? Well, she was threatening to fucking kill herself if I didn't go to Virginia. Whether she thought she was in love with me or not, I wasn't going to have that. So while Natalie said that it was okay for me to have emotions, the reality was my emotions didn't matter. What mattered was she could slander my name and have absolutely no remorse for it. It's not her fault. How many women do this? You didn't get what you wanted, so you go to a guy who you know has a crush on you and will do violent, stupid things instead of thinking it through. Holly typed, I'd love to have your back, but I'm still trying to find out more about you. Well, you found out plenty about me. You know I'm an asshole. You know I speak up. You know that I don't hesitate to chastise people on my channel. And when people get on here to be specifically assholes, I will get the fuck rid of them. You know that my channel is an autocratic dictatorship, and you know that it's that way for a reason. You know that I ask about if you're trolling or not before I ditch you. Holly typed, no, or I wouldn't be here if I thought you were a pedo. I know shit went sideways and that wasn't fair. Well, it's still not fair, but it's not a matter of fair. It's about equality. It's about justice. I can't function because I constantly have to look out my window for the next 6 shit that's going to start shit with me because they saw something on the internet. Holly typed, I have a big heart and I'm not a people person. I'm a people person. I'm just not a people pleaser. I want people to be happy. That much is true. Absolutely. But not at the expense of others. I don't mind if you go drinking this weekend and partying with your friends. But if it's Friday night, your friend gets a hold of you and says, hey, I was just raped. I need help turning him in. But you want to go to a party instead, you're not a friend. When your friend does that, you drop them now. Holly typed, I don't want to deal with people, no thanks. Well, neither do I, but I don't have a choice in the matter. The other thing is, if people pretended like you were a pedophile, the fact that you're a woman means that you will never, ever have to deal with the things that a man does. I'll give you an example. Last year, 5 men in the United States that were teachers were arrested for having sex with their students. Last year, 54 women in the United States who were teachers were arrested for having sex with their students. That's an 11-to-1 ratio. Women are far more likely to be sexual predators than men. But we're not going to admit that. We can't, because it won't appease the woke folk. Now, what's the average sentence for a male teacher? Keeping in mind that most male teachers who get locked up for something sexual with a child, it's not for having sex with a child. It's usually for looking up porn at work. You don't even have to look up children porn when you're a teacher. The fact that you're looking it up at a school that's meant to teach children makes it so that most people treat it as if it was a sex crime against children. So, what's the average sentence for a male in the United States who is a teacher who got busted with some sort of sexual something with a child? 40 years. What's the average sentence for a male teacher who has sex with a female student? Actually has sex with them. Well, we're talking about 40 to 60 years. Now let's talk about a female teacher who got busted outright having sex with a male student. 8 months. That's right. 8 months. A male teacher looking at porn on the computer will get more time in prison than the woman who molested your son. Congratulations. Holly typed, wasn't talking about you. Disgusting. Message held for review. The woke are disgusting. I absolutely agree. I'm fine with you being gay. I'm not fine with you treating people like shit because they won't have a big fucking goddamn gay day parade for you every goddamn day to appease you. Lots of people have anxiety issues. Lots of people have interpersonal connection issues. And lots of people want to be accepted for who they are. Now, I get to hear from a lot of LGBT folks who want to have surgery to become somebody else. God made a mistake. They were supposed to be born a woman. And these very same people who will whine and pine because nobody will buy them a different set of genitalia, right? For years. And these very same people will tell me that I just need to be happy with myself. I just need to love myself. That I am perfect just the way I am. Really? What if I wanted tits? You want a full sex change. You're not fine with who you are. You're not happy with who you are. Unfortunately, for most of these people, they don't realize until it's too late that the ignorance and bullshit that they believed is ignorance and bullshit. Why are women who transition to become men the most likely people in this country to commit suicide? Well, it's because you don't realize how pampered you are until you become a man and realize you're not getting pampered anymore. People aren't holding the door open for you everywhere that you go. You aren't getting those smiles walking down the street for no reason. What's the number one reason cited by these transitionary people? What's the number one reason that they cited after a suicide attempt? These women who transitioned to men, they had no idea what being treated like a pedophile was really like. You have no idea how many people will scream that shit out just because they don't like you. I've seen people cut somebody off in traffic and then scream at that person that they're a pedophile just because they were cut off. Holly typed Hunter B and his dad's number labeled as Pedo Joe in his PHN. Well, I look at it like this. Joe Biden might be a pedophile. Donald Trump absolutely is. But Donald Trump ain't the only pedophile. The Clintons were pedophiles too. Same thing with Barack Obama. Same thing with the Bush family. There are not a lot of people in the last 30 years who didn't have some connection with pedophile rings, including the one with that Maxine lady and, God, what was that fucker's name? The one that supposedly killed himself in jail. Epstein, that's what it was. Holly type they should all get equal sentences. I fully agree with that. Now, I've been out of the loop as far as Biden is concerned because I dropped out of the presidential bullshit because the president is just a figurehead. He is not responsible for the laziness and complacency of the American people. Whether it's Biden, Bush, Clinton, Obama, or Trump, they're all still figureheads. The whole Trump presidency, despite the fact that I have zero respect for Trump and I don't even like the son of a bitch, I spent most of his presidency sticking up for him. Not because I thought he was right, but because people wanted to blame him for things that absolutely are not his fault, and it's not possible for them to be his fault, and yet they did it anyway. That's hate mongering. I may not like Donald Trump, but I'm not blaming him for shit he didn't do. I'm not accusing him of fucking up shit that he was incapable of fucking up. Holly typed, oh, I thought you said both were molesters. Holly typed, I'm not gay. I'm so sick of that shit. Well, I'm not trying to call you gay, so if it came across that way, just understand that I was not trying to direct it at you. Highly typed LGBTQWERFSFG, I don't know. LGBT something. Holly typed, You should be priority before this shit. I'm not pampered. Right? Well, again, not directing it at you. Holly typed. Got it. Holly typed. I told you a friend of mine's daughter has become a son and insurance paid for her F boobs to be cut off. Holly typed, Trump is not. Trump isn't. Trump cut off contact with Epstein. Biden is a tool. Trump has my vote. He didn't before. Someone explained shit to me. I am not into politics. Well, lots of people have tried to explain it to me, and yeah, Trump's just a fucking tool too. The problem with Trump is that people want to go, oh, he's not a politician. No, he's definitely a politician. He is for certainly a politician. His business ethics show that he has no ethics. He is for surely a politician. This is a man who grew up rich and has nothing in common with any of the rest of us, with the exception of the fact that he has a human body. Okay, other than that, the difference between me as a homeless person and someone who's living in an apartment, yeah, that's about the difference between somebody living in an apartment and Donald Trump. There is that much different. Holly typed, all politicians are tools. Yes, they are. All people are tools. All people are tools. You keep around the friends who are useful. Sometimes they're useful because they make you laugh. So they're useful for making you feel better. Sometimes you keep people around for safety. Your husband is huge. You keep him around because people are less likely to fuck with you because your husband is huge and fucking scary. He's intimidating looking. You got that fat guy down the street who's had a crush on you since kindergarten. You're not going to give him the time of day, but he doesn't cause you any harm. And your husband isn't going to fix the sink. When you need a plumber, that fat guy down the street is going to be there to save your ass every time until he doesn't. Holly typed, however, Obama committed war crimes. Oh, it's not just Obama. Obama, by the way, is incapable of committing war crimes. Now, there's a possibility that he ordered war crimes, but he didn't. Barack Obama was not ordering American soldiers to shoot Iraqi and Afghani children in the head. American soldiers did that on their own. See, while I will stick up for Donald Trump when people want to blame him for shit that's not his fault, I'll do the same for Obama. If you're guilty, you're guilty. If you did something wrong and you're being punished because you did something wrong, well, I can understand that. But when you're being punished for something that is not your fault, is not your choice, and you have no control of, the people punishing you are completely fucked in the head. Holly typed, Biden is as dumb as a stump. Yes, he is. So's Donald Trump. Trump is dumb as a stump. Biden's dumb as a stump. That Nancy Pelosi lady's dumb as a fucking stump. Holy shit! That woman's dumb as a stump. Holly typed, I love those that make me laugh. I'm pacing again. LOL. he absolutely did. An adult son of a man who he hadn't heard from went to try to find his father. Guess what? They killed his son. Well, who's they? Did Barack Obama shoot his son in the head? Now, I can understand, like, for my situation, for example, many cops broke the law and did wrong shit. I blame them for the wrong shit that they did. I also blame them for their part in the wrong shit that other people did because they were lied to by those officers. See, if an officer takes you to a hospital, let's say you're trying to turn in Officer Jonas, and she takes you to a hospital, and she tells the hospital that you're schizophrenic. Is it illegal for the hospital to write down that you're schizophrenic just because that officer said so? Yes, it's absolutely illegal. But at the same time, the police officer knew exactly what she was doing when she said those things. So although technically the hospital are the ones who broke the law, they broke the law because that officer breached their contract and broke their oath. Holly typed, Nancy and her weird husband, Obama, he made it happen. Not without DX. You need a DX. Well, that's the thing. Just because you need a doctor doesn't mean that the nurse gives a shit. See, this is something that there's a woman here who got to see some of this evidence because I was able to get her to look at it in person, but she got stuck on one little part that she could not come off of. And what's that one little part? It's just one piece of paper. She found something that I've been explaining for years. Police officers took me, specifically Amanda Jonas, took me to the hospital in Longmont, Colorado, knowing that I was trying to turn in predators, knowing that I was trying to turn in specifically police officers and the Bollinger family. What did she do? She lied. One of my predators, a woman who pretended to be a medical professional by the name of Kara Johnson Miles, what did she do? She pretended to be an autism advocate. Turned out she wasn't. She was just a web sleuth that was working with the Bollinger family to gaslight me. It's a pretty fucked up situation. So she told Amanda Jonas that I was a schizophrenic who was violent and had a history of violence against the Bollinger family. And Amanda Jonas wrote it down as if it must be the truth. How many times did Natalie Bollinger say I hit her? None. How many times did Alicia Bollinger say I hit her? None. How many times did Natalie Bollinger claim that I raped her? None. How many times did Alicia Bollinger claim I raped her? None. Now, of course, this woman, Kara Johnson Miles, claims that I'm a schizophrenic who's out to kill all the Bollingers. That's right. A predator that I had been trying to turn in for at least 5 months by that point. She had been busted red-handed. Kara Johnson Miles lives in Texas, and her words were allowed in my court in Colorado, despite the fact that they were untrue. And I wasn't allowed to read any of that information or know any of the slander being said against me. And my public pretender wouldn't lift a goddamn finger to do her fucking job, same as the useless pieces of shit in this goddamn town. Holly type, they can't DX you that fast. DX diagnosis. Sucks none. 0, 0. Alright. I'm not sure what the zeros are for, but here's the thing. It takes 6 months to diagnose schizophrenia. So she's right. You can't diagnose that fast. The fact that my paperwork shows that I was there for less than 20 hours. It also shows that Kara Johnson Miles and the Bollinger family told the cops that I was schizophrenic. And that those cops took that as if it must be the truth. They didn't try to find out the validity of it, but there's also the fact that Officer Burke was there. Officer Burke is one of the police officers who committed felonies before Natalie was killed. That's right. He was supposed to investigate the quote-unquote stalking against Natalie Bollinger. He was supposed to call me. He never did. Instead, he got to leave that department and go work in another jurisdiction. He went from Adams County to Boulder County. He got a job with the Longmont Police Department in Boulder County. And he was one of the people who helped Amanda Jonas to commit felonies against me, to prevent me from being able to speak in court, including pretending that I had been diagnosed with schizophrenia. Holly typed 0, meaning you were never accused of molesting those girls. No, I absolutely have been accused of molesting and raping them many times. Many people will accuse me of doing those things while beating on my vehicle or punching me in the head. But the fact remains that none of the people accusing me of these things are the people it supposedly happened to. You're right when you type 00. Natalie never accused me of doing those things. Alicia never accused me of doing those things. What they did is pretended that I stalked them because they were embarrassed. And all of the rest of this came from that. Holly typed, I like hearing you speaking without getting mad. Well, I don't have 40 assholes on here trolling me right now, Holly. It's a grand total of you and me. And I am mad, by the way. I'm livid. Right now, I should be making a video about the situation with Theresa Ohrn. But instead, I'm answering your questions, and I'm really trying hard to get you to understand. And I'm glad that you're making an effort to. Holly typed, I know you were invited to stay behind Alicia's work. Yes, Holly. Not Natalie's. Holly typed, not Natalie's. You're right. Natalie did not work there. Natalie wrote down on her last public post that I stayed behind her work for weeks. I absolutely didn't. She also, all the stuff that was actually true in that happened in Virginia. And they were only half-truths. See, Natalie and Alicia Bollinger both knew that Maddie Bowe wasn't going to fall for this stalker bullshit. That's because Maddie Bowe had planned the trip with me, and she was going to make the trip with me. And the reason that she didn't make the trip with me is because she got busted selling methamphetamines. Like I said, I tried to run these girls off when they were underage. When they were adults, I became friends with them, but by that point it was too late because they were already fucking strung out. Where did Natalie work while I was in Virginia? She didn't. She didn't have a job. She didn't have a job because she tried to kill herself and couldn't walk because of it. Couldn't drive herself anywhere because of it. She was entirely dependent on her family. While Natalie claimed that I stayed behind her work for weeks, she didn't work at the cricket store anymore by the time I got to Virginia. The only reason I stayed behind the cricket store while I was in Virginia is because Natalie's twin sister, Alicia, was insistent that I go there instead of the place that I had chosen. See, I had chosen a Starbucks on Military Highway, and Natalie and her sister wanted me to go to the Starbucks on Military Highway South. And then first they wanted me to go to the Starbucks at the Chesapeake Mall because it was closer. And because Alicia Bollinger, the cricket store that she worked at, was literally in the same parking lot. And Alicia Bollinger's boyfriend at the time worked at the Starbucks that was attached to the building. Like literally there was the cricket store that Alicia Bollinger worked at. And then there was the store next to it. And then the store next to that was the Starbucks that her boyfriend worked at. And one of the selling points for me sitting at that Starbucks instead of the one I picked out for myself was that she assured me that her boyfriend wasn't going to give me any issues and that everybody there was kind and that they would let me do there what it is that I did in Boulder. And she was right. They were all very kind to me. She also invited me over every time she had a cigarette, and when she went to lunch, she kept on inviting me. This is Alicia Bollinger, not Natalie. So the whole time I was in Virginia, I'm there because I'm scared shitless. My friend who's already attempted suicide over her family being pieces of shit is going to attempt it again. But, and I hate to say it like this because it's going to be taken in the wrong way, Alicia Bollinger is a fucking cockblocker. Now let me explain to you what I mean. Natalie wanted to have a one-on-one conversation with me, and it hadn't happened yet. And I kept on telling her, well, we've got plenty of time. We have plenty of time. We didn't. Alicia Bollinger got to spend a lot of quality time with me, a lot of one-on-one time with me, a lot of cigarette breaks, a lot of lunch hours. Alicia Bollinger got to spend a bunch of time with me, but Natalie didn't. Message held for review. Holly typed, didn't she want to have sex with both? Sorry, but she is disgusting. Yes, she wanted to have sex with both. She'd already had a relationship with Alicia Bollinger, and the way that Maddie Boa said it, her exact words were she wanted the set. She got excited and said, twins, Basil. Because, of course, she grew up one of them generations. It was right around the Michael Myers information era. You know, Michael Myers posing as just about everybody. He posed as Fat Bastard, and he was Dr. Evil, and, well, Mr. Mojo himself. So, I don't know if she ever actually hooked up with Natalie Bollinger. Because for a whole year before Natalie Bollinger was killed, me and Natalie didn't have a friendship. What we had is me begging her to call off the dogs and her playing victim. Oh my God, Sean wants Tim Beeson to stop fucking with him. Sean wants Tim Beeson to stop threatening to kill his friends and family. Well, Sean is a stalker now. And that's the way it's been treated ever since. Holly typed, that Boa chick is nasty. You've got a bad rap, and me, being an empath, has a soft spot still for you, even though, goddamn, you're speaking cordially and not biting my head off. But holy shit, you yell at everyone. I know who Mike Myers is, and Michael Myers. Forgot about those clowns. Yep. What's the difference between Mike Myers and Michael Myers? Mike Myers is a comedian. Michael Myers is the villain from Halloween. And they're both clowns. That's kind of the point of being a comedian, making people laugh. Making their life just a little bit better, hopefully. Now, I got to see a lot of people who claim to be friends of mine go down an evil path with the Bollinger family. When Natalie disappeared, a lot of people, like, of course, Pierre Byron, a.k.a. Pierre Worsblook, he had a crush on both of them girls. And he would have stabbed anybody in the back for a chance with one of them two girls. It's unfortunate the person that he stabbed in the back was me. And I'd literally never done him wrong. Just like with Natalie and Alicia. When Pierre was wanting to show up doing stupid shit, I let him know that this is an adults only area. You're not old enough to hang out here. Now, it's not like I was trying to beat them up for being there or trying to scare them off with physical abuse. I let them know that it wasn't okay for them to be there because it affects public opinion. And public opinion is what gets us killed. Oh my God, a homeless person talked to somebody who doesn't look like they're at least 18 years of age. He must be a pedophile, and that is the way that it's treated in the United States. Holly typed, no, that's it, LOL. People can't be trusted. Not all, anyway. I like what you did there with the clown reference. No, that's it, LOL. Holly typed, I'm starting to feel like I need to take a break. Well, I feel that way every day. You have been speaking with me or typing with me for about 2 hours now because there was a few parts that you missed. But yeah, I can understand why. We've been at this for a bit. I also didn't get to finish the video that I was planning on making. This video was supposed to be about something else entirely. It was about Theresa getting drunk and talking over me and making it about her dead husband, no matter what the situation, to this very day. Her dead husband, dead husband, dead husband. Holly typed, I'm starting to feel a bit guilty. Well, that's okay. Holly typed, I like your demeanor. Well, my demeanor is a lot nicer when I'm not completely overwhelmed. My demeanor is a lot nicer when people aren't going out of their way to dismiss everything that I say. My demeanor is a lot nicer when I don't have 30 people typing at me at once and half of them are trolls. You've gotten to see, I do yell a lot. I certainly do. But take a look at the situations I'm in when I'm yelling. Take a look at the interactions when I'm yelling. Take a look at the appropriateness of the interaction. Matter of fact, it would probably be a good idea, and I'm not telling you have to, but I want you to review how wrong it is to even have a YouTube channel for this purpose. How wrong things have to go for a disabled and at-risk adult to have to post up on YouTube and Facebook about their abuse. My demeanor may be coming across as all right now, but realistically, I'm scared shitless. Realistically, I'm hoping that someone will pull their head out of their backside within the next couple of days and decide that I'm actually a human being. When Theresa said that she loved me, she's said it, but she hasn't shown it. And a lot of people are like that. They say they love you, but they don't show that they love you. If they actually loved you, they would care that you're being harmed and they would want to help put a stop to it. And if they actually loved you, come hell or high water, they'd find a way or make a way. But the realistic situation that I'm in is that people are going to make any excuse to look the other way. Those who are involved say, I don't want to get involved after they're already involved. Or they want to say, keep my name out of your mouth. I will not. A lot of people who claim to be my friends wanted to say, keep my name out of your mouth. Brandy Copen, that's Theresa Ohrn's daughter. She doesn't even like her mom. And through all the shit with Natalie, she kept on telling me she doesn't like her mom. However, when Theresa did the most fucked up thing she could have possibly done in that situation, did Brandy try to understand? No, her and her mom came at me like a ton of bricks, saying the meanest, most cruel stuff that they could think of. And power pounding it. Theresa Ohrn doesn't have what it takes to stand up to me alone. Most people don't. People twice my size think they have what it takes to stand up to me alone. They realize after the third or fourth ass whooping that they're not going to have enough time to whoop my ass that many times. Holly typed, I honestly feel for you. I wouldn't still be here. I can't say I love you as I don't really know you that well, but I care. Call Brandy. Tom. How old is she? Brandy is probably close to 30 by now. She was a few years older than Natalie. A couple of years older than Natalie. And I believe Alicia Bollinger, that's Natalie's twin sister, will be 26 this year. As far as calling Brandy, no, that ain't a happening thing. Brandy is a lot more unyielding than her mother. Holly typed Tom means tomorrow. I meant how old is Theresa? She's 53. She's 53. I know I should say she's in her late 40s or early 50s and pretend like I don't know her actual age, but I mean, come on now. She was babysitting me when I was 4 years old. I knew that she was 14 when she was babysitting me because my mom kept talking about how she wasn't sure if she trusted a 14-year-old to watch her kids. She's 10 years older than me. Holly typed she works with autistic people with guns. No. Some of the videos that you're watching of mine, you might not have noticed. Well, you probably did, the buffering thing. And that's what it does when it's a live video. But when the video's over and you go back to look at it, all those parts where it says buffering are gone. Instead, it's just basically one part of the video butted up against the next part of the video that it would actually record. So sometimes I'll be listening to it and I'll realize that I said something and I'll go, that's not what I said. And I go looking at it and I realize that, yeah, there was a period of time there where it was buffering and most of the things I said were completely missed. Holly type, that was the most bizarre thing I'd heard in a while. Oh, you're talking about what she was saying. Yes, now I get it. I apologize. Um, Holly type, did you not hear what she said yesterday? You missed it. No, she said it. Omar Moran typed, why is the screen black? The screen is black because I don't have a studio to do this in. I don't have a house to do this in. I'm living in my car. My car has no battery power. It doesn't run. I'm having to do this in the dark. Holly typed she sounded drunk. Well, that's probably because she was, Holly. I'm sorry, the way that I said that sounded more condescending than I had originally anticipated. Omar Moran typed, oh, you need help? Yes, sir, Mr. Moran. I do. I need help stopping long-term abuse over the death of Natalie Bollinger. By the way, a lot of people tell me, oh, well, you know, Natalie's killer was found. People should leave you alone. First of all, they didn't. And second of all, the issue with Natalie Bollinger didn't start when she was killed. It started over a year earlier, when her and her sister pretended like they were stalked because they were embarrassed. Holly typed, and she's working with autistic persons with guns. Well, I'm autistic. You should see me with a gun. You're not likely to find somebody who is more safety-oriented with firearms than I am. If I had a choice between going out and shooting an AR-15, semi-auto, an M16, full auto, or a .22 Cricket bolt action, single shot, I'd fire the .22 Cricket single shot. The ammunition's cheaper, the gun's more accurate. Oh yeah, and it's a lot safer. Someone calling himself Landon S. typed hi. Hi, Landon. Now, Holly, one thing that you might notice is that the more people get on here and start typing at me, the more overwhelmed I'm going to get. You got to see that earlier today, too. And you got to actually take part in it yesterday. Remember, you were mad at me for being mean. Well, I wasn't trying to be mean. I was trying to let you know that I was overwhelmed and that we were getting off topic. And of course, you got to see the trolls and how harsh they were being, and they were some of the nicer trolls. You also get to see how I gave a lot of people chances, that it was pretty obvious they were trolls from the start, but they had a good excuse, kind of like you. And some of those people just kept on trolling afterwards, whereas you started to listen. So it's different. Holly typed, go listen to your guys' chat after we finish here. Not the point I'm making. I did see. All right. Well, the point I was making and the point you were making were different. And that's allowed. Landon S. typed, what the fuck, bro, talking about guns? Holly typed, shut up, Landon. Omar Moran typed, am I talking to a serial killer? Want to make sure. You know, I can give you a list of bodies, and you could go through and look all the names up, and you can verify that all the people on the list are dead. The thing is, you'd also realize while you're verifying the list that I was nowhere near any of those people when they died. Half of them I was incarcerated when they died. Out of all of those people, the one I was closest to when they were killed was Natalie Marie Bollinger. I was 5 city blocks away from her when she got her head blown off. When Christine Buhit overdosed on fentanyl with George Helmstetter didn't overdose. Where was I when that happened? I was in prison in Lincoln. Yep. On false charges that they had to drop and let me out. Stephen McMillian died while I was in prison, too. Broke his own goddamn neck. Ran Ingersoll, she died. Anna Hunka, she's dead, too. Benjamin Harvey's dead. Rory Jepson's dead. Ran Ingersoll, she's for certainly dead. Janine Barrett's dead. Alexis Valentine, she's dead too. A lot of dead people. Stephen Green is dead. Tim Cossack is dead. Onyx is dead, but his real name isn't Onyx. It's Tommy Gallia. He's dead too. And guess how many of these people I killed? A grand total of 0. Holly typed, "Who are you?" Landon S typed, "No, bro, I'm 10, bro." So what do we do with these people who want to get on here and tell me they're 10? We get rid of them. And how do we do that? We click on their picture and we click hide user on this channel. Sorry, if you're going to be coming on here pretending to be a 10-year-old, I'm going to get rid of you. I'm not going to be treated like I'm trying to entice children to touch my balls because I've got some sick pervert getting on my channel pretending to be a 10-year-old. It's stupid. Holly typed, "Sean is not a pedo or a killer. He just makes people mad." Sean, don't get offended. This is a great song. I know many deceased as well. No, stop. I say that a lot. I should ask what you mean by that. If I took something out of context, I do apologize. Holly typed OEW. You're referring to the person pretending to be a 10-year-old. Holly typed, "I was getting the link to the song." Well, she typed dong, but she corrected it. Apparently, Holly types with other people about certain things and she tries to be more politically correct. Either that or she got fat thumbs. Not literally, obviously. That's just what they call it when you hit more than one button at once and it pops up with something else. I know that when I had my phone that Natalie and Alicia Bollinger had given me in Virginia for my birthday, I had to fuck with it a bunch to try to get it to stop saying ducking. I wasn't trying to type "kiss my ducking ace," you know? So I was finally able to get it to sort of do what I wanted it to. I could finally get it to say fucking instead of ducking. And then the next thing you know, it's word predicting every other word to be fucking. Well, that doesn't exactly work so well when you have to get a hold of your friends and let them know that your phone is broke and it's fucking things up for you. Anyway, Miss Holly, I'm not going to be able to make the video that I want to make because I am down to I'm down to 39% battery, but it's also 3:02 in the morning here. If Theresa does call me, which she won't, it'd be at the butt crack early, probably around the time that I can't stay conscious any longer. By the way, I don't make people mad. Whether they get angry or not is dependent upon their thoughts, feelings, and opinions, not mine. Now, according to some of you, I'm allowed to get angry over these things. And according to some of you, I'm not allowed to get angry over these things, but other people are. The reality is, regardless of your goddamn opinion, I'm going to tell the truth. Regardless of whether or not you get butthurt like a little bitch and fucking whine out your mangina, I'm still going to tell the truth. If you feel like me telling the truth is some sort of a personal goddamn insult, that's on you, not on me. And if I have to curse to put emphasis on something that you're blowing off, I will put those curse words on there. And I can hope. That's the reason those curse words are there. Those curse words are there to give me hope. I hope that people will listen to me without me having to curse, without me having to yell, without me having to shout. But if I am shouting and yelling and cursing, it's because I tried those other things first, and they were fruitless and hopeless. And they didn't stop any of these predators from harming me. They didn't get it taken seriously. And still nobody takes it seriously unless I curse. And then the only thing they take serious is how offended they are with their woke bullshit. Anyway, I suppose I should probably end this video. It's about 3 hours long. How do we end these videos, Holly? Holly typed, "Hey SS." Oh, you've been looking in the Natalie Bollinger groups where they refer to people with just their initials. That way they can pretend that it means something else. Kind of like when Cara Rogers, a.k.a. Cara Mia, I read the whole thing and she was talking shit about SS. And I asked her what SS stands for, and she said it stands for screenshots. Holly typed, "You are your brother's keeper. And your sister's too." Initials, your initials, she typed. Yep, SS, Sean Schwartz. I end these videos with, "Good to be rid of you. Thank you for coming to visit. You are your brother's keeper, and your sister's keeper too. And no victim left behind." You also might have noticed that since I was talking to you guys for the last 3 hours, I've been 3 hours without that cruelty that them youngins start pulling as soon as I turn off the recording. I've been 3 hours without hearing. Well, alright, I can't say that I went 3 hours without hearing the N word. You guys got to hear someone use the N word here. But they weren't calling me the N word. Holly typed SS, Sean shirts. Thanks. I typed slow, behind, peace out. Absolutely, you're good. Plus, I was busy talking over you typing and you were trying to be interactive, so thank you for that. And peace out. Take a screenshot of that just to prove that you exist.